Tinder isn't exactly where I expected to meet someone life-changing. Honestly, I downloaded the app out of boredom during a lazy Sunday afternoon, while half watching reruns of The Office and procrastinating on laundry. My bio: 3 lines of minimal effort, greater than software developer, coffee addict, will lose sleep for good tacos. The profile photo: me holding my sister's golden retriever, because who doesn't swipe right on a guy with a dog? Spoiler, not my dog. But hey, like dogs, so when I matched with a girl named Emily, I wasn't expecting much. She had that confident, slightly chaotic vibe in her pictures, mid-laugh in one, making a mock serious face in another, and of course, the obligatory hiking photo on some ridiculous-looking trail with a waterfall in the background. I remember thinking, I'd probably die trying to date her. But we started chatting anyway. Our convo was surprisingly normal. She joked about caffeine being her personality trait, asked if I liked podcasts, told me her guilty pleasure was Gossip Girl, and eventually tossed out a casual, greater than you seem, chill, want to grab coffee sometime this week. I hesitated, stared at the screen for a second, then replied, greater than sure, I'm down. You picked the spot. It was a cloudy Tuesday afternoon when we met. The coffee shop was one of those local hipster places, with exposed brick walls, plants hanging from the ceiling, and baristas who looked like they moonlighted as DJs. I got there 5 minutes early, nervously sipping water and refreshing Twitter every 2 seconds to avoid looking awkward. Then she walked in. Emily. Black jeans, oversized sweater, messy bun, effortlessly cool. She spotted me instantly, smiled wide, and gave me a hug like we were old friends. Wow, she said, pulling back and giving me a once-over. You look even better than your hiking pics. I froze. Hiking pics? She nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, that one where you're standing on the ridge with your dog. Such a vibe. Oh no, let me be clear. I don't hike. I don't even walk briskly. And the dog in my photo, that wasn't even my dog. That was Max, my sister's golden retriever, who I'd borrowed for exactly 2 hours during a family BBQ and turned into a temporary Tinder prop. But I laughed. Oh, right. Yeah, that hike. That was a really good day. Lie number 1. We ordered coffee, me in black, hers, something involving oat milk, caramel, and cinnamon. As we sat down near the window, I thought maybe this was a one-off, a slip of the tongue. Maybe she mixed up a message or two. Nope, she launched into this whole story about how she missed Colorado sometimes, how it must have been weird for me to move from Boulder to the Midwest, and how it was so cool that I kept such a positive attitude about long-distance relationships ending. I blinked. I've never lived in Colorado, I've never been in a long-distance relationship, and I definitely never had a dog named Bentley. But I nodded along like I knew exactly what she was talking about. My brain was trying to solve a puzzle in real time. Was this some kind of elaborate prank? Was she testing me? Or maybe, was I the one who forgot something? I mean, I've been on a few dates before where I forgot small details: birthdays, favorite colors, names of siblings, but entire states, dog names, relationship histories. Nah, something was off. 10 minutes into this identity spiral, she leaned forward, smiled, and said, "Oh my God, you're exactly how I imagined you'd be, Jake." And there it was. I blinked. Sorry, what did you say? She tilted her head. I said you're exactly how I imagined. Why? I paused. No, before that, Jake. I just stared. She stared back. 5 seconds of silence stretched on like a full-length feature film. Then her eyes widened. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she said, voice muffled behind her palm. You're not Jake, are you?" I shook my head slowly. Not even close. What happened next was either the most awkward or most magical moment of my dating life. She burst out laughing, like full and shoulders shaking, borderline snorting laughter. People turned to look. The barista smirked from behind the espresso machine. "I can't believe this," she said between gasps. "I matched with 2 guys around the same time. Jake and, wait, what's your name again?" Chris, she repeated, blinking. "Right, Chris. Jesus, I thought you were Jake this entire time." She wiped her eyes. "I mean, I did think it was weird you didn't bring up your trip to Iceland." There was a long pause, the kind where either one of us could have stood up, muttered something about confusion, and left, but instead, she grinned. "Well," she said, sipping her latte, "you're not Jake, but you're funny, and honestly, this has been way more interesting than my usual coffee dates." I raised my cup in mock cheers to mistaken identity in caramel oat milk lattes. She laughed again, and just like that, we kept talking, and talking somehow. Now that the elephant named Jake was out of the room, the conversation flowed even better. We swapped weird family stories, embarrassing high school memories, and bad first date horror tales. Turns out she was as chaotic in real life as she seemed in her pictures, and I was totally into it by the time we left. 2 hours had flown by. She typed something into her phone, then turned the screen to show me my new contact name. "Not Jake," I grinned. "Guess that's me now." She shrugged. "Hey, I could do worse." And that, folks, was the weirdest, most accidental first date of my life. It's weird how fast things can shift after the truth's out. 1 minute I was sitting across from a girl who clearly thought I was someone else. someone who hikes, has a dog and lived in Colorado. The next, we were laughing like idiots over lattes, bonding over how Tinder might actually be a social experiment designed to test human patience. Still, I wasn't expecting to hear from her again. I mean, how do you text someone after that? Hey, great time being mistaken for another man. Want to do it again? But the next morning I got a notification. Emily, greater than so, not Jake. How do you feel about giving dating a second try, this time with full name accuracy? I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my toothbrush. Me, only if you promise not to bring Bentley. He keeps stealing my socks. Emily, deal. But you're walking him next time. We met up the following Friday at a barcade half-dive bar. Half retro arcade full of neon lights and people in ironic t-shirts. Definitely more my scene than bougie coffee shops and hiking trail talk. She spotted me first and shouted across the air hockey table. Crisp, right. A few people looked over. I gave a dramatic bow. You remembered, proud of you. She punched my shoulder lightly. It's in my phone now. Under not Jake. Obviously, I grinned. Still haven't updated it. Nope, that name's a permanent fixture now. Your grandkids will call you not Jake. Great. Can't wait to explain that to my future in-laws. We grabbed drinks, hers, some fancy cocktail involving cucumber foam, mine, a reliable beer, and started bouncing from one arcade machine to another. She crushed me at ski. I destroyed her at Mortal Kombat. She claimed to let me win, but her face told a different story. Somewhere between pinball and Pac-Man, we slipped into a rhythm, teasing each other, sharing dumb stories from college, debating whether pineapple that belongs on pizza. She says yes, that's a red flag, right? Closing parenthesis. It was the kind of date you don't overthink. No pressure, no trying to impress, just two people being ridiculously themselves. And for the first time in a long time, I forgot I was on a date. Halfway through a Mario Kart race, she turned to me and said, "You know what's funny? Besides the fact you're about to lose this round." She rolled her eyes. "Besides that, I never would have picked someone like you." I paused. Thanks. No, I mean not in a bad way. Just, you weren't what I thought I was looking for. I usually go for the outdoorsy, spiritual hiking trip to Peru types. Guys who make their own kombucha and wear Patagonia like a second skin. Right, that sounds exactly like me. Exactly. But I like this. You're just real. Normal. No hiking cult energy, I mocked. Gasped. You mean you're not enchanted by my elite knowledge of React Native and taco truck locations? Oddly, kinda am. We both laughed. There was something easy about being with her. She didn't filter herself. She didn't do that thing people do on first dates, where they pretend to be 10% more mature or 30% less weird, and I didn't have to perform either. She already thought I was a mistake. There was nothing to prove, which somehow made me want to prove everything. Phone calls and late nights from there. Things started to snowball, texting every day, sharing memes, random 2 a.m. phone calls about whether cereal is soup. It's not. For the record, we had our third date the next week, a horror movie marathon where she fell asleep halfway through The Conjuring and then screamed herself awake. 10 minutes later, after that, she introduced me to her roommate as not Jake. I leaned into it when we went bowling with her friends. I entered my name on the scoreboard as not Jake. When she posted an Instagram story of me making pancakes in her kitchen, the caption read, "Not the man I matched with, but definitely the man I needed." And her friends, they loved it. Apparently not Jake became a running joke in her group chat. I'd walk in and someone would yell, "It's him, the legend." Emily found it hilarious. I found it weirdly charming. A few weeks later, we were sitting on her couch after a lazy Sunday brunch. She was scrolling through old pictures on her phone, showing me embarrassing college Halloween costumes. Her as a low-budget Sailor Moon, her ex dressed as a sexy Caesar salad. Don't ask. And then she said it, totally casually, "You know, this might sound insane, but I'm really glad I mixed you up that day." I low